Lots of fun tonight, eh? All right. So I see we're getting sound back. I just noticed that there was no sound. So let me back up a step. And you know what? I'm going to take these lives down, stitch them back together properly, and you guys get to watch one fluid take. So here we go. One more time for the record. You know what? I don't know. I think I'm just going to start over. What do you guys think? All right. I will delete the other lives. Starting again. You know what? If we're going to start again, hold on. I'm going to do this so it's a little more comfortable. There we go. Yeah. All right. All right. So here we go. Let's start from scratch. Okay. Since this is an incendiary topic, it can be the subject of a lot of debate and a lot of arguments. There's a lot of arguments online about it, and I want to avoid that entirely. So I acknowledge, I've mentioned before that I'm an Apple guy. So do I have a bias? Yes, I do. Freely admit it. But I am committed to bringing you the factual points, the factual merits for each platform, and to be as impartial as I possibly can be, because I want to bring you guys the right info. The question, I'm sure somebody will ask it, so the question of which one is better? Better is subjective. Better is based on your individual experience, your individual skill set, your individual. It's very much based on what you need and how much you know already. So there is no, this isn't a point for point. This is almost unquantifiable. So let's get into what the actual various merits are and go from there. Okay? Cool. All right. So let's clear up a couple of things. When I talk about this, I'm going to distinguish between Apple as a company and iOS. iOS stands for I operating system, and it's the fundamental software that runs the iPhone, the iPad, the iPod, and the variants that run Apple Watch and Apple TV. But they are all variations of iOS. And when I say operating system, it is the fundamental software that allows the unit to run. So that's super important to know. Android is an operating system as well. So when I say Android, I'm referring to the operating system, which is software, and not necessarily the hardware particularly. Okay, because there's no Android brand phone. So let's jump in. Let's take a look at some views. I started over. I'm just going to start over the other lives. You know what? Mulligan. We're ditching the other one. This is the only. I'm starting over, and we're doing this straight up. So, Android. The general views that I've been told by multiple sources is that Android is a fantastic practical workhorse. It does a lot of very simple things. It does a lot of basic things, and it does them easily, and it does them well, and it does. Some people do find Android easier, especially those who work from a Windows background. I find a lot of people who work with Windows or who work from the Windows platform find it a lot easier. Why? Because it follows the same mentality. The general consensus with iOS or Apple's platform or Apple's operating system is that it tends to be a lot more about multimedia and production. It's about the more things you can do with it and making your device kind of a catch-all. Not that Android can't do them, but they don't really put that out there or put it forward. That Apple is more security-oriented and generally less customizable. And we talked about customization before, so the other thing is there are others who say that Apple is easier, and that it is mostly because it is a consistent experience across all of Apple's devices. So it is fairly straightforward and a fairly straightforward platform to jump into, especially when you have multiple, when you have an iPhone and an iPad and whatever. So there is that. Who makes the operating system? So in the case of Apple, Apple's iOS is Apple's iOS. Apple makes it. Android, the base of Android is made by Google. So Google makes what we refer to as core or clean Android, right? Or straight Android. However, every manufacturer, and I'll get into this in a second, every manufacturer that uses Android wants to make Android their version. They want to brand it their way and can make some significant modifications to Android. So you will have very many variations of Android. So let's talk about this one. Who makes the phones for Apple? Apple. So Apple makes both the software and the phone, and they work very well together. And iPads and all of them. Android is a little more complex because Google makes phones. They make the Pixel, and it's an excellent phone. Samsung also makes phones, and they use Google. LG, Motorola. Who else? Huawei, OnePlus, Sony, Asus. They all make phones, and they all use the Android platform, and they all make their variation of it, which means that if you take a Motorola Android phone and a Samsung Android phone, they don't look the same. And there can be some significant differences in the menus and the language and so on. So that's why I said, who makes the operating system on Android? Well, Google does the base, but everything else can be changed around a little. Who backs all of these phones? Let's be honest. Cloud is here. Cloud's not going anywhere. Who backs your phone up? Who syncs your contacts? Who syncs your calendars? Who stores whatever? Who stores your photos? Google. If you're on Android, Google. Maybe. Samsung has their cloud service they want you to use. Asus has their cloud service. Sony has their cloud service. So everybody who makes the phone has their own cloud service that they want you to use, and you can use Google, but which one are you using? Well, that depends on what you set up in your settings when you set up the phone. So it gets a little tricky there. In the case of Apple, who runs the backup, or who runs the service? Apple. Can you use others? Yes. Yes, you can absolutely use others. It's your phone, it's your prerogative. But if you just go with the basic as is, Apple. Who supports your phone when something goes wrong? Apple? Apple. Straight up. Apple's aftercare support or after-sales support is spectacular. You go to an Apple store or you call Apple, and it doesn't matter if it's hardware, software, service, help operating it, you can get help for your Apple product from Apple. When you have an Android, well, it gets a little dicey. The after-sales support is not as straightforward. You see, if you have a problem with your actual physical device, you have to go to the manufacturer of the physical device. If you have a problem with their version of the operating system, you have to go to them, to the manufacturer. If you have a problem with Android itself, like the core functions, and well, that you can do that from Google. And if you have a problem with the software, you have to go to the software developer. You see where I'm getting at, right? How do we add apps? Android has a Google Play Store, but Android also allows you to do something which is referred to as side loading. You can go to a website, download a package, and install it, just like you would software on your computer. You can download the software and install it. The problem is, who's looking out for you? You are. Whatever you download and install, you have to know and trust that it is what it says it is, and that there is no malicious code in there or something that's going to do something untoward. So that, let it be known. Can you customize your, that's where Android is more customizable. You can load apps from anywhere. You don't have to go through Google's official. And even if you do go through Google's official, there's no guarantee it'll work on your version of that Android operating system, because there may have been something tweaked in the background that makes it work a little less well, or not at all. It's really Wild West and kind of up in the air. Whereas Apple is a little more tight. They're iron fisted, and rightly so. Why? Because the only way to get apps on your iPhone without breaking the software and the warranty is to go through Apple's App Store. Apps are verified. They're made to work with all the phones and all the devices, and they will tell you straight off the cuff if it works with your device or not, because it's too old, or it's too, or it's not. It doesn't have the feature that requires. There are pieces of software, for example, that only work with an iPad Pro. Why? Because it has more processing power, and it's set to work for iPad Pro. It's designed just for that. That's becoming less common, of course, but still, it does exist. So, but it will tell you right away. All right. So far, I've been painting a pretty rosy picture of Apple. I grant you, yes. Okay, apparently we're back. Sorry about that. Connection issue, apparently. All right. Thanks for those of you who are sticking with me. Today is apparently just one of those days. That's okay. So, where are we at? Yes. Apple's devices have a fixed amount of storage, and you cannot add storage to an Apple device once it's done. You can offload stuff to your cloud, and that keeps everything in your chain. So it's always part of your data, and it's protected across the board. We talked about encryption. Your data for Apple is encrypted, as is the information on your phone. That is the only way. Now, I will mention, there are companies that have brought out USB keys that connect to the bottom of an iPhone. I personally don't trust them. It's not that I don't think that they do something. I'm just very, very against the idea of, hey, I'm going to trust my very, very trusted data onto a single device, a small device that could get lost easily. If it's a temporary measure, maybe, and it doesn't do everything. You cannot offload applications. You can really only do what the application lets you do, which is usually photos and videos. If it's for a specific function and you know you're comfortable doing it, it might work. I don't really trust them myself. And that's, again, that's entirely a personal opinion. Take it for what take it as you will. Android-based phones tend to have more options in terms of that. They tend to allow USB keys. They do have cloud options. And in addition, they tend to allow the addition of micro SD cards. These are very, very small cards that can add quite a bit of space to a phone. And it can be very, very effective for a lot of things. The only trouble is if somebody takes that SD card out, first of all, you won't know it until it goes to store something on it and it's not there, one. Two, there's no way of protecting the data on it. If somebody takes it out and puts it in their computer, even if they don't know you, they've got access to anything that's on the card. There is no way to protect that data from that phone. So just a note, that's where the security, the security issues of that come in. Who can access the operating system? Who can access the guts, the core of your phone? Well, if you're running Android, anybody. You can too. Most phones come with a file browser, and you can go and mess around in the guts of your phone. You can do anything you want. It makes it more customizable, but it also means that mistakes can be made, or things can get stored in the wrong place, or if people fool around in there, you can mess it up. It's not necessarily a self-destruct button. It can be fixed. It's just usually time-consuming, cumbersome, and ruins your day. Apple, on the other hand, who can access the operating system? Nobody. Apple can. That's it. Your data is completely encrypted. So there's no way of getting the data off your phone unless you're the one accessing it and giving it away or sharing it out. The phone actually has to decrypt the data to send it out, which is really, really neat. I don't care if it's a crappy meme. It still has to decode. The way that you can have apps work with Apple is that Apple develops these very, very robust and specific tie-ins or kits where they go, here is everything you need to make your app do what you want it to do. We can't program everything in, but we can certainly program the means to activate the camera, use the microphone, and things of that nature. You can use the hardware, but you cannot know how the operating system works. So all apps are effectively add-ons, which leads to the next point. Every app is sandboxed. Now, that basically means, and I'm not even close to kidding when I say this, every app runs in its own, for all intents and purposes, for you sci-fi people out there, because it runs in its own private universe. If you've ever seen the movie Doctor Strange, they all have their mirror zone or they all have their mirror realm that they operate in, and whatever happens in that app stays in that app. It's also why you don't have common files across all apps. Every app handles its files independently, so if something goes wrong with one app, the other apps are not affected. Android, on the other hand, uses a shared pool of resources, which is why you can access everything. So while it may take up a little less space overall, it does offer the possibility that if one app goes wrong and corrupts a file, it's corrupted for all apps. So interesting. Not bad, not good, but not bad. Just different way of thinking. So we get into that. So that is the system resources. Okay, I've gone on for long enough. I'm gonna pack it in. The only thing I am going to say is I want to talk about the intention, because I talk a lot about mindset. So here's the general intention with each of them and the major differences in the intention. With Android, the intention is that this is your computer. It is absolutely yours. It is yours to customize the way you want, to specialize the way you want, to modify the way you want. It's yours. You can do anything you want, provided you have the know-how to do it. You have to know how, and when there's an issue, that's on you. Not to say that there aren't people that can fix it and whatnot, but there is not one body that you can go to, because you'd be talking about an infinite number of customizations and nobody knows how to troubleshoot everything in one shot. Apple's idea is a very consistent and common standard experience. The idea that you pick up one Apple device or pick up another Apple device, it doesn't matter if they're it doesn't matter if it's an iPad or an iPhone or an iPod, and it doesn't matter if they're within 2 or 3 generations of each other. The basic functionality is all the same. Not only that, the backbone, the ecosystem, it's all the same. All of these functions, even the Macs are starting to run with the M1 chip, are starting to run the iPad software, the iPad and iPhone software. So you're going to have consistency across the board. So it really is to have this no frills kind of fire and forget. I do it and it works on all my devices. And if I need help, I have one spot. I go to Apple. And even if it's not their app, they will help you as best they can until they find out that it's the app, and they'll usually help you contact the developer and let them know. So that is my rather incendiary, and I know it's an incendiary topic. Again, there is not one that is better than the other. They are both excellent platforms, and I've used both, and I've done a lot with both. And anybody who's known me long enough knows that when I had my Android tablet, I did some really cool stuff with it. I did video editing, I did music, I did all sorts of neat stuff. But I really enjoy my iPad, and that's just me. But you know what? What is better for you depends on your needs, your skill level, and what you're comfortable with. So if you want to talk more about that or what your needs are, go ahead. Hit me up in the comments, send me an email. You know what? I'm going to put my email right up here. And I look forward to speaking to you guys again. I look forward to speaking to you through the comments or through the email. If you guys want to talk to me directly, great. I'm pretty reachable. Otherwise, can't wait to see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, despite all of the mismatch tonight, the technical errors and all that. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sticking with me. All of yous, all two of yous, but that's okay, all of yous. And I can't wait to see you guys soon. Thanks so much.